Hello, thank you for joining me. I will be doing a sketch from this reference photo, which is a really cute little bungalow located in Siesta Key. I picked I picked this reference photo or this bungalow because of the bright colors. I love the yellow with the teal accents, and then the fence line in front is a neat little kind of forward feature, and then also it does happen to have some string lights along the bottom of the roof line. So if you would like to grab your supplies, you can sketch along with me. I'll be playing this in real time, narrating it as we go. I will be mixing my colors and then applying them, so I kind of cut that process out. So you might want to pause the video here and there just to mix up your colors so we can do this together. All right, if you need a list of the supplies, they're located in the description below the video. So let's see how it goes. So I'm using a piece of 6x8 size, 6x8 inch size of watercolor paper. And this is Strathmore 140 pound. And I am going to just be doing the outline of the building with that little peak of the roof, that really beautiful long part of the roof line, and then the sides and the windows and the door. And then after we get that in, then we have a guideline to where everything else goes, and we can go in with pen. So you can see that the sides of the house line up with that little roof on the top, and then that doorway is just right in the center, and then we've got our windows on either side. And there's a little flower pot in the one window. And then I'm going to be using a Micron 02 pen, nice fine line. I like to either use 005, 01, or 02 for my initial ink marks. I love that roof. So unusual, so different. And that door doesn't go all the way to the bottom because the stairs kind of start a little bit higher than the bottom of the building. And then there's a little bit of a board that goes across the center there. I'm going to put that flower container in. Then there's that little handrail that starts just between the window and the door, and it goes about halfway down the wall. And then we'll go ahead and put a little bit of the bottom there so we know about where to put the stairs. and then a little angle, and then just the little side of the stairs. A little angle, and then the front of the stair. And then one more. This one's a little bit wider. And then that center of the window, and then a little outline, the border of the window. It's always nice to double line your windows and your doors. And then put that angle in for the sides of the roof. That angle back about halfway through the middle part of that window. And there's a little light pole. It's a little crooked. I think I exaggerate mine a little bit more, but not by much. And then we've got a little palm tree, nice and loose. And another one over here. That palm tree, I don't know what type of palm tree that is, but I did the same type of palm tree that I like to do. I didn't feel comfortable doing that one the way it is. It's not my favorite palm tree, so I just like my traditional. They're called Christmas palms. They grow little berries that turn red when a palm frond falls off. There's a little shoot behind it, and that spreads out, and it shoots out little berries that turn really bright red. So they call it a Christmas palm. That's my favorite palm tree down here in Florida. And this is located in Siesta Key, which is a beautiful beach. Beautiful, cute little town, beautiful beach, white sand, powder soft. Great place to visit. So put that little board behind. There's a little bit of a gate to the left, but I kept it simple and just did the same across the front. And then a squiggly bush. Just the outline and a few little interior leaves. And a little bit more on the other side. And then we've got those really cool leaves right in front. There's a little detail of the roof line in teal that I just put in. It's probably the beams. And I'm going to be starting off with the flat number 6 brush, and I've got cadmium yellow medium, just straight. Add a little water, keep it nice and bright, not too diluted. And the flat brush is nice for this because you can get a real nice edge. And then for the details, I'm using in that bluish color, I've got a cobalt turquoise hue. I'm just using that straight. I didn't mix anything with it, just added a little bit of water. It's one of my favorite colors. And just do a little, all those little details, the side of the window, the little underneath the flower box, and the railing. And the sides of the door. And the roof line. And then applied a little water to the Payne's Gray that's on my palette. And I like to use Payne's Gray for my windows. I just did I added a little bit more water. I wanted it lighter for the door. The door's white, but I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of shade of a gray. And the sidewalk, the cement sidewalk and stairs. And a little darker Payne's Gray for that matte. And then some burnt umber for all the mulch. Just straight burnt umber. This is a nice, easy, loose sketch, and the colors are just straightforward, not a lot of mixing, just adding the right amount of water to get the right shade. And then I have some phthalo light green with some cadmium yellow medium mixed together for my lighter green. And I'll use that first for all of my initial greens on all the plants. And then we're going to go in and add a little sap green to that mixture for the second shade of green. I mixed a little bit more cadmium yellow into that lighter green and put those into those larger leaves. And I'm going to add that to the bushes just to give it a little bit more dimension of a few different shades of green. And then my darkest shade of green is just straight sap green. And I'll just add that into the lower part of the bushes on either side and a little bit into the palm trees. And then a little bit of the Payne's Gray again in the stairs and underneath for a little shadowing underneath the house. It's a little raised, so we get a little gap under there. And then we'll go right underneath the overhang of the roof, just below that to give us that shadow, just straight across. What a difference that makes. There's some little beams underneath that I just did with the Payne's Gray. And then I'll pop in a little bit of flowers. There's no flowers in that in the photo, so I'm just using my artistic judgment and I am putting in my flowers myself. So I just put a little bit of a pink and then a little green for the leaves. And then now that everything's dry, I'm going to go back in with my Micron 005, I believe I have, and just put in some of those details in the door. Little doorknob. And there's that little bit of molding that splits the front of the house. And then from there we've got some wood slats going down just on the bottom half. And then we'll put the little vents in that top peak of the roof. And then we'll give it the effect of the mini blinds that are in the window. They don't have to be perfect, just nice and loose. And then our string light goes just on a little angle. Add our little lights. And we're going to put a little dot of white gouache paint in each bulb so they're really going to pop out. And then we'll finish off that peak of that roof line. And then there's some decorative rock around that palm, the base of the palm. My palm tree's a little bit lower, probably should have been up a little bit higher by the house, maybe a little bit wider too, but that's okay. And then just some little gravel. Or mulch. Just some little round, and then some dots, little round circles, dots, ovals. You could do squiggles for mulch. And then I've decided to put a electric pole behind for just something a little bit extra. Just needed something. I mean, there's a lot more plants. You could put the plants hanging from the top coming down, but I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. I'm not doing a blue, not even though the sky doesn't look blue, you could put a blue sky in there if you'd like, but I'm just gonna keep all the colors into the house and add a few birds onto my wire. And I decided to make that mulch a little bit browner. The one side was browner than the other. Just want to make a little bit darker shade of burnt umber. And then putting in the little rings on the tree, the trees. I'll be brightening up those light bulbs with a little white gouache, which is an opaque paint, and I've got a really tiny brush. I just put a little drop of the paint on my palette, add a little bit of water so it's easier to spread, and then those little light bulbs just pop out a little bit more that way. And that white gouache is nice to have handy. It's a great addition to your tools, because if you ever need to add a little bit of white to something, it's there, because you can't get the paper back once you put watercolor on, so it's kind of a good way to fix any mistakes, or just add highlights like in the bulbs or anywhere where you need a touch of white. Great for like a little white highlight in an eyeball. And then I'm putting a little Payne's gray into the fence, and I also, at the very top of each fence post, I double lined it so you could see it looks a little bit more 3D. I don't think I got that on camera, sorry. And a little bit of double line on the sides, on the outskirts, on the 3 posts on each side. Add a little more gray into the walkway. And then we'll add some splatters. I'm picking up the teal color that's left over in my palette. Add a lot more water. Load up your brush and just tap it on your finger. And here is my finished sketch. I tweaked just a couple things after the fact. I added a little bit more greenery on the sides of the building and also added some green splatters. And the underneath of the building, I had a straight gray, Payne's gray line going along the bottom, and I didn't like that because it kind of curves, the building underneath curves into the stairway, or the stairs itself. So I kind of adjusted that and lifted some of that gray out and made it a little bit more curved. Other than that, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope if you sketched along with me, it turned out wonderful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so because I've got some really cute videos coming up. I wouldn't want you to miss them. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.